Good afternoon, Lubbock. Welcome to the second ever Pod Dammit, a KTXT podcast. I'm your host of today's podcast, Perry Jacobs, joined by
Nick,
Ryan,
Austin.
and Silas.
Sorry,
All
had your
right.
mic muted, Silas.
No, we're good. We're good. I think we've got a great podcast coming up for you guys today. We're going to be focusing on a subject, or I guess a topic I like to call pop culture catch-up.
Woo.
Because if you are new to the station, I am a big fat fan of internet drama, and I am here to highlight some of the best of the internet drama for you here today. But I know I know you guys in particular aren't necessarily versed in that subject, so I thought, why not?
I'm not very familiar, and I also don't really have that much interest.
That's okay. Well, you're going to be interested today.
Yay.
Buckle your seatbelts because I have a full timeline about James Charles.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, so if you're not familiar with James Charles, he has had a very messy past. He has had allegations regarding more trivial things like copying makeup looks or whatever, but there are some more serious ones that we're going to get into today with sexual allegations. So I want to go ahead and put a trigger warning out to our listeners. They're going to be talking about sexual allegations against minors and grooming. So if that is not something you want to hear about, we'll catch you on Monday when we're going to be talking about colors. A little more fun. So, there you go. I wanted to go ahead and get that out there. So what do you guys know about James Charles?
I feel like the bare minimum of, I know him from YouTube, I think, and it's when I see him getting popular just from like makeup stuff and with other very popular YouTubers just collabing and whatnot.
Okay. Do you know anything?
I know he's a makeup artist.
Yes.
I haven't seen any video. The only content I see of his is like clips from various social media
Okay.
sites.
Did you guys know anything about his controversial history before today or before I had mentioned anything?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
somewhat.
Okay, we'll get into it. Also, before we get into it, I forgot to mention this earlier. If you follow our Facebook and Twitter, we put out a forum. So if there's something you want to hear about on Pod Dammit, feel free to submit a request to that forum and we'll go through them. And, if we like your topic, we might as well talk about it. Am I right? Okay. Now trying to avoiding the tough stuff that we're
Yeah.
about to get into. But yes.
I was going to ask Silas real quick if he when's the first time or if he has ever heard of James Charles.
I mean, I've heard about him, but all I really know about him is makeup tutorial stuff.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
all I've ever.
I feel like that's his main, that when I hear his name, that's all I think about is his makeup videos and stuff. Does he have a makeup line, or is it just?
I will mention this later, but
Okay.
I'll give you a little sneak preview.
Whoa, teaser.
There is a makeup brand called Morphe. I don't know if you've heard of that. You have? Okay, good. Okay.
Morphine.
Morphe.
Morphine.
It's like
The drug.
It's just the drug.
Morphe, like morph with the E on the end.
Okay.
And they're a pretty affordable makeup line, but they did a collaboration with James Charles, and it was pretty successful. I actually own this palette. It's very good quality,
Whoa.
but that's more on Morphe's behalf rather than James's. So I will give you a bit of a brief background if you don't know who James Charles is. He just recently turned 22, and he is most known for being a beauty influencer. However, at the time that these allegations took place, he was between the ages of 19 and 21. Most of them took place when he was 21, for some context.
I thought he was way older than 22.
No, he was born in 1999.
What?
Yeah, his birthday, he just celebrated a birthday. I would wish him a happy birthday, but not this time around. May 23rd is his birthday, so he's a
Wow.
Gemini. Yeah, he became famous online at a young age and is still very prevalent today in the online world and in the beauty community. I think he did post YouTube videos, and he created a beauty Instagram. He got into makeup when he was young. I'm guesstimating around 14 years old, but he really took off his senior year of high school. I don't know if you guys remember this, because there was a photo of him that surfaced the internet where he was like, I asked to take my senior pictures with a ring light, and so it was really good lighting. And anyway, so I know that sounds so weird out of context, but it was like this tweet, and he was like, just because I'm a beauty influencer, I retook my senior photos with a ring light. And Zendaya actually, I don't remember if she reposted it or commented on it, but that's what brought traction to his picture. I don't know, Austin and Silas, if you're on Twitter and remember that happening. It was several years ago now, probably 4 or 5.
So let's see. That would be So 2018, if I'm or for me.
2017, I think. Maybe he would have been 2018.
Well,
Yeah.
if he was born in 99, he's either 2017 or 2018.
Yeah.
So let's see. I don't think I was on Twitter back then. I think it was mainly Instagram and Snapchat at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't really get on Twitter until I don't know, about freshman year of college, maybe sophomore year.
Okay.
So I did not. Silas, what did you think about it? Did you hear? Actually,
Yeah.
I probably can guess Silas hadn't.
That's
yeah.
okay.
No, I didn't. I didn't know about it. I didn't even get Twitter till I was like a sophomore in college. So.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I figured it was a long shot just because I feel like even if you guys were on Twitter, you're probably on like sports Twitter or something, and I'm on the end, like the drama side.
Oh yeah, when we look at drama, I go with sports drama. I think Silas, you're more of a video game drama, but
I could totally
yeah,
get
all
into
the-
video
all the
game and
video game
sports
drama.
drama. Are you kidding? Well, actually,
there's a lot. It's about as bad as a TV and TV drama. I might add TV and movie drama or celebrity drama.
It's so good. I do know a little bit of video game drama I heard recently involving what was his name? Dream. I wanted to say Ninja, but I was like, no,
There is some
it's
stuff
not
in
Ninja. But that was pretty
Ninja,
good.
he hadn't had any since a long time ago. But
Yeah.
for another podcast.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so here we go. I
Mm-hmm.
also need to put a big fat disclaimer because none of this has been proven fact.
I made
yet.
all of this up.
Yeah, this is all fake. Just kidding. Just kidding, guys. Stay tuned. Okay. Okay. All the facts and research I'm about to give you today is all according to my own research of the subject. I can't guarantee that it is 100% accurate, but I think I did my best to compile the information surrounding this event. But take it with a grain of salt. Feel free to form your own opinions and do your own research about the subject if you were so inclined to do so. I will hopefully, after the podcast is over, be linking the articles that I used for my research in the description box down below. Smash that like button while you're there. So we'll be able to, if you want to like see what my source is, you'll be able to do all that. But let's go ahead and jump into it. All right. This is going to be a big one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Buckle
I
your
tried to,
seatbelts.
like I mentioned before, he's had several scandals. I don't even know if you guys remember. He represented CoverGirl as the first cover boy. Do you guys remember
I think
that?
I remember that.
Yeah, that was like I would think that was 2017. Yeah, but he had a scandal where he tweeted about how he was going to a trip to Africa and tweeted about how he was scared he was going to catch Ebola, but like as a joke. So that's why he's not a cover boy anymore. He was removed for that scandal, but that's just a little bit of a taste of some of the other stuff he's been involved in. But today we're going to pretty much only touch on sexual allegations, and there's a lot. Most of these. To give a blanket statement about the topic surrounding James Charles, most of these incidents involve pressuring people into uncomfortable situations from fame and power. Most involve a sexual connotation and underage victims. So, what brought this to light was his most recent allegation that kind of just like blew everything out of the water this past year. But lucky for us, or unlucky for us, it all began May of 2019. So very,
Well, throwback.
was it 2 years ago? Wow.
Over 2 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of players involved, but I'm going to do my best to describe who they all are. So May of 2019, there is a YouTuber named Tati Westbrook. She is also a beauty influencer who has been in the beauty world for a long time. Are you familiar with that?
The
Tati?
name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Not Tati the 6ix9ine song. It's
Oh, okay,
something
then never
different.
mind.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
No, was she the one with she has long brown hair, right?
It's like I think shoulder length, maybe. I don't really remember. I'm not a Tati fan.
It's brown though. Or
Yeah.
it's like a darker. Okay,
And
I think I
she's,
know.
I don't want to, like, I don't mean this in a mean way, but she's older. She's not like a
Right. Yeah,
teenager.
yeah. Okay, I think I know who that is.
Okay, so she released a video against James Charles, exposing him for being sexually manipulative, using his power and fame to take advantage of others, despite their sexual orientation. She refers to incidents when he flirted with male waiters at a dinner that they went to who identified as heterosexual and continued to make inappropriate comments to these men. And this whole video, I believe it was titled Bye Sister, because James Charles uses like the hi sisters, like so. Yeah, it was a big deal, and the internet came crashing down on James, but kind of as they should.
Anyway.
Back to it. The same month, May 2019, an Instagram model, Gage Gomez, accompanied James Charles to Coachella. Gomez claims that he was pressured into sexual situations despite previously telling James that he was not attracted to men. James Charles' rebuttal was that everything in the relationship was discussed prior to Coachella and was all consensual. And I think that is a big topic that comes up involving sexual allegations is it's unfortunately it is very he said, she said. I think, it's very easy for the other party to say, oh, it's all consensual, like we agreed, whatever. So, and that's something James claims a lot. So don't know if that adds validity or takes it away, but there you go. Let's see. Now we're the time jump here. We're jumping forward to April of 2020. Jeffree Star. Do you guys are familiar with Jeffree Star?
Mm-hmm.
Austin and Silas, are you familiar with Jeffree Star?
The name sounds familiar. Not sure if I know him or know him.
I think you would.
Not.
He's very striking looking. Let's just put it that way.
He's one of. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
He is.
I'm not familiar. In any
Okay.
capacity.
Let's just say Jeffree Star is nasty in his own right. He is very. He has a lot of scandals and for very valid reasons. Anyways, that's another episode. But Jeffree Star is also a beauty influencer. He's also male. He went on a podcast called Mom's Basement and claimed to have a phone recording of one of the alleged victims of James Charles sexual abuse. He never released the recording, but there was uncertainty if the recording was real. Other influencers, I believe Shane Dawson and Tati Westbrook, claim to have heard this recording, but it's really just up in the air since it was never released to the public. Very weird. But it's also hard to say because Jeffree Star is definitely not a reliable source. So that's another thing in itself. Yeah.
I wonder how much of it is just for like clout of just like they say they heard something.
Yeah.
Or, like, hop
Yeah, I'm
on
not going to
that
show you it,
bandwagon.
but I have it.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting you bring up clout because later when these victims first start surfacing, they get deemed clout chasers, saying that they are involved with James for clout only.
Do we want to define clout for listeners that may not know what
I
clout is?
don't
They're
know what
in
the
the
proper
sky.
definition.
They provide rain.
Okay, I don't know what the proper clout definition. I'm having a hard time typing. Let's
I think
see.
it's just like attention for yourself.
Influence of power, especially in politics or business, but it's kind of been more adapted to the internet world, saying like people are clout chasers if they want fame and money. They think if you are, I believe, like kind of like a groupie, like way back in the day, if you're a groupie, you're kind of a clout chaser.
Bandwagoner.
Yeah,
Bandwagoner.
yeah. So let's see. That was April of 2020. June of 2020, Tati Westbrook, mentioned before, made a follow-up video as an apology video to James, saying that she was manipulated by YouTubers Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, allegedly, into making the video about the sexual allegations. So she kind of just did a takesies backsies. So it's
Just
hard.
kidding, guys.
It's hard to say like what that really meant. But then again, it's all very up in the air because in the internet world, that's when everybody was kind of coming down on Shane Dawson. So she could have jumped on that train just to annihilate him. And I don't know. It was very strange. It's just kind of like whoever is in the good graces of the internet is who people stand behind.
Mhm.
And so that's pretty interesting in itself.
And as we have seen with many a different YouTube influencers, that can change on a day-to-day basis.
Oh,
As Logan Paul, or not,
Yeah.
or his brother, I should say, and
Both of them.
both of them, yeah,
Yeah.
and their whole fiasco. But that's subject. It's very subject to change.
Very. And I think the Paul brothers are definitely an interesting subject because they do it daily, like do something to make people mad and then come back. And the interesting thing about the Paul brothers is they just genuinely do not care what people think of them. And I guess that's what keeps them in the spotlight is because that's what, if you're familiar with Trisha Paytas, she's like, you can't be canceled because you just keep coming back. And I was like, she's kind of not wrong.
I don't know. Sorry.
No,
if I
go
cut you
ahead.
off. I don't know if we're going to touch on it, but how did he make, like, how many apology videos did James Charles, like, end up making with?
I think 2
things
or
that
3,
occurred?
but then sometimes some of them are interesting. He's released several statements, and the statements are like, "This is not an apology. This is just what happened." So I'm gonna read those for you
Okay,
later.
okay.
I get excited
Apology videos
because
are
they're
always
very interesting. They're very interesting. I think another good topic to talk about would be like the construction of an apology video. What makes a good apology video? What makes a bad one? Because there's some bad ones. I think David Dobrik has some pretty bad ones. He was just like, "Sorry that you're offended, LOL." Anyways, I'm probably mentioning a bunch of names that everyone's like, "Who are these people?" Okay. August 2020. A TikTok, this is the first accusation. August 2020. A TikToker claimed nude photographs were sent to him. He received major backlash after he came out about the incident. He was supposedly 14 at the time. He received the backlash because everyone said that the screenshots were faked. A lot of people who knew him in real life also came to the internet and said that this TikToker was known for being a liar. So that was bad because if he wasn't lying, it kind of added a validity to James Charles and his future allegations, because people were like, oh, people have done this in the past. So that was not a good moment. Now, here's where things get pretty rough for James. February 2021, a 16-year-old boy came out with allegations against James Charles, claiming that he was pressured into exchanging sexual photographs with him via Snapchat. The boy posted his evidence to a TikTok at the time. James Charles did make comment on the situation, stating that he was unaware of the boy's age and nothing sexual happened between the two of them. Later that month, 3 more young men came forward to share similar experiences. One of the alleged victims was 17 years old and shared screenshots of Instagram messages between the two of them, showing that James Charles was well aware of his age. So, one victim claimed that once things were taken too far, he had told James he was only 16. However, the advances by James Charles continued. The victim also tweeted at James. So I guess I should preface, once this all came to light, like the TikTok was released, James came out and made comment, and he was not very nice to these alleged victims. So he made a lot of bold statements like, you're a liar, my legal team's coming to get you, things like that. So the victim tweeted back to him and said, James, we both know that I blocked you. You never asked for my age. After I told you I was 16, you proceeded to ask for my nudes, and it didn't matter. You still called me hot and said that you, quote, wish the timeline could speed up so I could be 18. So, I'm going to read his first post about this to the internet via a good old Notes app screenshot to Twitter, and then we're going to get into you guys' thoughts. So he tweeted this screenshot out February 26th, 2021. Once again, trigger warning for grooming and pedophilia. So this is his statement. There's a video going around about me on TikTok and Twitter of a guy calling me a groomer, and I want to address it right away. The accusation that I have groomed this person is completely false. Last week, I came across someone on my Instagram Explore page, saw that he followed me, and added him on Snapchat. I believe using the Snapchat in the kid's Instagram bio. The next morning, I woke up to several Snapchats from this person being excited that I had added him back, saying he loved me, and also lewd photos of himself in the shower. I asked how old he was right away, and he told me he was 18, so I started flirting back. In the excitement of meeting someone I thought that could potentially be great, I didn't ask for a copy of his ID or his passport. It's now clear based on the video he uploaded he was taking photos of me with another device and had ulterior motives from the beginning. Later in that day, he said a few things that made me question the validity of his original age answer, and when I asked him to confirm his age once again, he admitted he was 16. I told him I was really uncomfortable, apologized for flirting, but he insisted that we continue talking, saying that it could be our little secret, that he's a fan of mine and he would never tell anyone. I told him I was not okay with this. He started getting upset, and at this point I unfriended him. We haven't spoken since. I am not victim blaming or victimizing myself either. Simply sharing what happened, and what happened was not okay. After false allegations like this in the past, I believe referring to the August 2021, I would never knowingly engage with anyone underage and put my life on the line for a few Snapchats. Because of the situations like this, instead of taking someone's word for it, I will now ask for their ID or passport for every guy that I have had a conversation with. So, what do we think about that?
Oh my god.
It's a very interesting response from my perspective.
It just blows my mind each time hearing stories with these just people doing things to underage kids, and it's just so whack. And
yeah.
Like with the part you said, he's like, what was it? He will like check in the future, or
yeah.
It's like, why even mess around with that in the first
exactly.
place?
And he didn't even. Did he even apologize or anything?
Not.
He was just saying
just
this is
defending
wrong.
himself, and I thought it was interesting because he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm not victim blaming.
Yeah.
I'm not victimizing myself either." I'm like, you can say that
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
And like,
What do you think, Austin?
I honestly don't know. I have mixed feelings about this whole kind of ordeal that he's going through, because I guess with entertainment and sort of celebrity or influencer status, you kind of see it all the time with big name stars. I mean, it's one of those where it's normally I go like the person accusing of the allegations. I'll side with them most of the time. Mm-hmm. However, here recently, you're getting to a point to where now children who are between the ages of like 13 to 18 or like 13 to 18, that junior high to high school level. I mean, you've got them like they're acting like they're, I think it was acting like, what was it? It was acting like they're 13, they look like they're like 17, 18, but they're acting like they're 21, 22. And then the classic meme, guys, it's the other way around. You look 22, you act like you're 18, or you look 18, and then you act like you're 13. But it's one of those where you got to have all the facts to see what all is going on. And in today's social media status and even regular media status, it's hard to get those facts. So, and nobody fact checks anything to make sure if this is true. They just throw it out there, and maybe it'll get headlines. So, I mean, like you said, yeah. for the clout, or for what's the other word for notoriety, I would say. I mean,
I think it's very true that it's hard to get all the facts straight, because it always comes out, especially with the Tati Westbrook drama, everybody comes out with their side, and it's like having the first hit, I guess, is kind of important, because you can come out and be like, no guys, I didn't do that, but it's kind of hard to backtrack from that point. But I thought there was a lot that I thought was very interesting, because he basically admitted to doing it. He just did it under the premise of, oh, I thought they were 18. And do you think that, like, although 18 is legal, does that still make it okay?
Well, that's one of those things where I think you have to look at the rest of the world and see what they are doing, because there are some places in the world where the age of consent is as low as 15, 14. So, I mean, if it's a touchy subject to go to talk about, and I think, but it's a good thing we are talking about it, because it's happening more and more every single day. And I think, I mean, it's difficult to say for certainty whether that the end game, like that was the end game, like hit the young person's end game, or if he was just trying to be like a friend or a fan, and the celebrity in question or the influencer took it too far. So
yeah, it's a big deal what's happening right now. I feel like in a lot of the social media world, especially with YouTube and gaming YouTubers, with Call Me Carson, because this just happened to him as well, where people came forward. He actually told a close friend that he was when he was 18 or 19, and he was sexting a 17-year-old, and then he just like went off grid after that because it got leaked. But that came into light, that big question of like age, and if you started dating someone when they're 15 and you're 16, and then you become of age and they're not, and there's a whole like, it's just a weird area, and it's came back into the conversation of people talking about that. But I don't think in any way James Charles, with that in mind, doesn't really. And
James Charles has a history. It's not just one incident where you can kind of be like, okay. And there's several.
From that quote, it feels like from how he said it, both parties are at fault. Like that 16-year-old definitely well knew what he was doing. Yeah. And definitely with James Charles, he knew what he was doing. Like there's just both sides seem to be at a fault.
I agree.
I mean, back to what you said about this happening all the time. There was another gamer who just recently, I don't know if y'all know him, but his channel name was Mini Lad, and nothing big, but like 5,000. I mean, he was well known for the Vanoss crew, kind of split off, and then this past year, he dropped all with his buddy, the Gaming Terrorizer. That's his name. Look, I'm not joking. Brian Hanby, who and they got into a fight, and then it went into mental health issues, and then some tweets came up about him with some sexual allegations with minor, and he did a full apology video, I think, explained the situation, which was horrible. Which is horrible. Yes,
I cover apology videos.
Yeah. That's what I say. We can loop it back here in a second.
Which is horrible in its own right. But I mean, he's also dropped off the face of the grid. No, I don't think anybody has heard from him since that his final video on his I think his main channel. So
Were you ready to talk about his apologies video? Because like Mini Lads was basically him being like, I was depressed, that's why I did it.
he was
You
trying to.
can't
I
blame
think
me."
Mini Lad was trying to blame it on blame it on mental health.
Yeah.
That actually sounds very similar to the James Charles apology video later. James Charles claims he was desperate. But desperation does not equate.
It's not an excuse. Like,
No.
what?
It's not an excuse,
No.
but I mean,
And I definitely-
before Silas, you want to weigh in on here? You got any thoughts or?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with a lot of this stuff, it's just happening so much and there's like very little proof. Like I want to be on the side of like the victim, but like if there's no proof, like I don't, with all the hearsay, she said, he said, like I don't even know what to think at this point with all this stuff.
Like if the if the victim or the person on the other side said that they were 18, I mean, yeah, obviously he could have fact checked, but when you just like, why would you lie about that and then say, hey, just kidding, I'm actually 16?
Well, okay, so here's a couple things regarding that. First, there was a lot of I don't know how would you describe it, but there was a lot of this particular victim that he found off the Instagram Explore page, as I mentioned. In his bio, it said he was 16, and maybe
Okay,
that
so
was added
he easily
afterwards.
could have seen it.
Yeah,
and
so
looked at,
maybe
yeah.
it was added afterwards. Who knows?
Yeah.
But do you think in this kind of situation that it is the celebrity or the person with influence, the older person, do you think it is their responsibility to fact check age by looking at an ID?
Yeah, I think especially if they reach that status, and clearly he's aware of how famous he is, that he's not just going to take some random person he's never seen or met before, someone's word at their age. Even like, I know people now, normal people, will like not stalk, but just like if
Yeah.
they start talking to someone, they're like the first thing they do is, okay, I want to see their social media, so they'll go to like Twitter. I don't know any other social Instagram.
Yeah, I got you.
I was gonna say Facebook, but I don't think they do that anymore. But yeah, and so I think he could have easily done his research, even if it's just like 2 clicks to look at his bio.
It's a quick
Yes.
fact because I was just thinking of it. I
Yes.
was curious if there were any forms of like laws regarding a minor impersonating someone of age. And I just found it seems to be like legislator from California, and there's a bill that was passed that if a minor impersonates someone of age, it's punishable by a fine or imprisonment in the county jail. So I don't know how much this spreads, but that's also just interesting to think about.
Yeah, that you just can't. So it's
But if he
It's-
has proof, though,
well, I have seen that was another thing I forgot to mention is I mean obviously I can't really include these on the podcast, but the original TikToks that were released with the evidence of these, once again, in this day and age, it is easy to doctor things, but some of the I don't know, it's like I was kind of convinced, it's hard to say, but some of the text, of course, text can be doctored, but there were photos of James Charles that were promiscuous, not to be confused with the really
yeah,
great
I gotcha,
song,
yeah.
but there were lewd photographs, and they were very obviously him. And maybe the kids got those offline. Maybe they were sent to them. That's just kind of where discrepancy happens. But a lot of these victims have said that they are seeking legal action against James. I know the legal system is pretty slow, so it's hard to say if that's true or not, because obviously nothing has come of it so far, but it's
Yeah.
only been a couple months, so it's hard to say.
It's probably even harder for them, too, because if you're trying to go after a celebrity like that,
Oh, yeah.
like
Power,
even if they're just an
money.
internet celebrity, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know how wealthy these people are who are coming out. And
Do you want me to look
with
up his
these.
net worth? James Charles' net worth? I'm
Sure.
curious. All right, what do you got, Austin?
I mean, I was gonna say this. I think with influencers like what you said, how the legal system is slow. I mean, everyone in America knows that. That's nothing new, and it's neither here or there. But also, I mean, it's hard to go after someone with that much money because they can essentially pay people to be quiet
Yeah.
in a way.
Or they can just pay for better lawyers.
That too, they can pay for much better lawyers.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say too much. But I was involved in a wreck about it'd be almost December will make it 3 years that involved me and my younger brother, and we are still fighting insurance about his knee because he ended up messing up his right knee real bad, and it caused him to not play football his sophomore year. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think my mom and dad just recently got a court date, like an actual physical court date, to try and get this settled. So I know it's caused them a lot of grief and it's taken them so long, but also people in prison. Like they can stay in there for 5, 10, 15 years before they ever get a court date for their final sentencing. So
Which is kind of funny if they do end up paying off the victim, that kind of almost in itself is a form of proof.
Well, that's what everybody said about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, like
He settled out of court.
you gave them money, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay,
Even if it was like for like you didn't mean it like that, you just meant like let's
Some-
just forget
yeah,
all this.
well, sometimes it's just to shut them up. Like, let's
but
just
that's
move
not
on.
what people are gonna they're
Yeah.
gonna see that as like, oh, so you're admitting then you're trying to bribe them not
it's like,
to.
I'm sorry, here's
Yeah, exactly.
$200,000.
Yeah.
What was his net worth? Did we find it?
Oh, yes. According to cheatsheet.com, $22 million.
I was literally thinking 22.
Okay.
I promise, guys.
We're going to go ahead and jump back into the rest of the timeline because we're
Okay,
getting ready to
cool.
close out pretty soon. But we'll try to keep this is where the ball also gets kind of rolling. Okay. So, March 2021. A 15-year-old boy shared his story on TikTok, also showing screenshots from a conversation that he had had with James Charles. The alleged victim claimed that once he started to share these messages publicly, James Charles then blocked him on social media. James Charles accused the boy of lying about his age, even though the alleged victim states that James Charles knew. So I read this from an Insider article, and here are quotes from the Insider article. In later direct messages, James Charles appears to write, and I'm going to manually bleep this. What the bleep is your problem? In posting screenshots of my snaps to your private story, I strongly recommend that you keep my name out of your mouth, or we're going to have a major problem.
yeah, that's I'm.
Oh, it gets worse.
I know it does, but
Yeah.
as someone who's been in family business with restaurants and many other business type endeavors, that is the one thing you do not do
Yeah.
when releasing a statement. But Miss Perry, please continue.
Thank you, thank you. Here we go. James Charles then appeared to write, I'd love to remind you that you're the one who called me cute and said you were bisexual and that you were into me. Then the screenshot stated, get your bleep friend in line before I do, followed by lying about your age to bait someone is against the law, by the way. And the messages of you admitting that you lied about your age, I saved them. So, yeah.
This is
Like,
bizarre.
It's
just
aggressive.
conveniently not include that in anything.
Yeah.
that he posts.
Yeah, that was very aggressive of James. But
Excuse me.
based on his public responses on Twitter, like that whole paragraph, he seems kind of like a aggressive person. Like, you want to say this about me? Well, I'll say this about you really quick. So, yeah.
Yeah, James Charles, good luck in court, my friend.
So
I would
that-
love to see the result from this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I wonder if, because I think this is something else that's also going on. If Snapchat or Twitter is liable if told by a court to show these messages,
Yeah.
unless they're kept locally. I don't know how Snapchat keeps their messages because you can save in
Yeah.
chat and stuff like that. So I wonder if they do have storage of these messages, if they are able to pull that.
I
up.
would think so.
'Cause, like,
They,
this is-
cell phone data is just crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then you run into the problem of security and First Amendment rights and all that,
That's
and
true.
well, that's
and a lot of other things. So it's
you would
a
have to go into the privacy policy, and then that's a whole other deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
Yes.
that never stopped like Facebook
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Google from doing
True.
this.
Mark Zuckerberg.
this is a fair point that you make, Silas. It's a very fair point. So,
Yeah.
and today's day and age, we don't know.
Data
We're still
harvesting.
our current administration and rules and regulations for the internet date back to 1990. So, can we get that updated, please?
Yeah. Okay. Jumping forward to April 1st of this year. Conveniently, April Fool's Day. However, he claims this is
But
not
this
a joke.
is no joke.
No, he literally in the video he goes, "I recognize that it's April Fool's Day," but so this is when he posted his apology video. In the video, he only addresses 2 of the allegations out of the, I believe, 5 to 8, I want to say off the top of my head. He says that these individuals were added online, but he asked their age. They both claimed they were above 18. Kind of the same story over and over again. He says that once he found out they were 16, he blocked them both. However, in both of these cases, their age was mentioned on their social media pages, whether it was Instagram or TikTok, whatever. He James Charles was bashed for not looking into it further. He claims to take accountability for his alleged mistakes. And this is in his apology video. He claimed, this is like my writing. He claims to seek out these individuals out of desperation, because like the previous one where he found them on the explore page, just as like, oh, cute, I'm desperate, I guess. Yeah. He claims that he never intended to seek out individuals, but he just found them on social media. In the video, he says that he will now ask all potential suitors for proper identification. And although this was not the best of the apology videos, it kind of got worse after that. So that was posted April 1st. April 16th, he released a statement to cover more points and topics that were not covered in the video. And this was also posted to Twitter. So here we go. Accountability is something that I have spoken about a number of times in the past. In my most recent video, I spoke and took accountability for my part in conversations I had with a few individuals who told me they were over the age of 18. As I said in that video, I can't change overnight, but will over time. Since posting that video, many other people have come forward with a series of misleading stories and false allegations, which have been reported on by many people, creators, and news outlets. My legal team has begun taking action against those and spread misinformation against me and created completely fake stories, as this has gone too far. These stories have caused many of my long-term partners to receive a considerable amount of negative feedback, one of them being Morphe Cosmetics. I've loved every moment working with Morphe, and I am beyond grateful for what we have created together. That being said, I reached out to them and we mutually agreed to wind down the James Charles and Morphe collaboration, which is only a project with them. Which is my only project with them. I'm continuing to take time to learn, grow, listen, and look forward to coming back one day in the future as a better version of myself. So...
He's not coming back.
Oh, he has. Well, that's interesting. It's like, there's celebrities that have been, I guess, canceled, for a lack of a better word, for similar things, like Harvey Weinstein, to be extreme. And to me... Harvey's not going to make a comeback of any sort. But based on the attention that James has received after his most recent comeback, in a sense, there was a pretty positive response to it. So that last thing I just read was posted April 16th. April 29th, YouTube demonetized James Charles' channel as a whole for violating the creator responsibility policy via the clause harming others, users, community, employees, or ecosystem. However, it is unknown whether this demonetization is temporary or permanent. Do you guys think that it is right for YouTube to do that?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
It's one of those things too where, again, going back to even if all of this is fake, if all of these people coming out saying that it's all that what they're saying are just completely false accusations, it's still the fact that YouTube has James Charles as one of their advocates who is getting all this backlash,
Yeah.
so they have to worry about themselves as a business. And
Yeah,
so
the
even
advertisers.
so even if
Okay.
it is fake, it still happened, and they
Yeah.
have to protect themselves too.
Yeah, he's a public figure.
Exactly.
So he has a lot of rules and regulations
Like-
he has to adhere to.
Exactly. Like when he said we came to a mutual, I bet I bet
yeah.
they just said we're dropping you,
Yeah.
and he's just
Yeah.
like, okay.
Well, I believe I want to say it was Morphe also had a collaboration with Jeffree Star, who we mentioned earlier, and once he fell into a scandal, I cannot remember which one it was, which scandal it was, they completely 75% off all his stuff, clearanced it immediately. It was, but they did not do the exact same for James. It took a while, I guess. Maybe they were holding out to see what would come of it. Who knows?
I bet money that the YouTube allegation or the YouTube monetization it's probably going to be whether it's permanent or not is probably going to be a result of what his case may end up being.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure YouTube as well as TikTok, very, very difficult organizations to deal with. Silas, you've you know what I'm referring to or talking about, but or at least with customer service, because there are plenty of both of TikTokers and YouTubers who just get their stuff canceled for no reason, or they get shown off, or their account gets deleted or whatever, but then they'll get it back a week or two, and they don't get it back for a week or two later. So it's probably going to be one of those where it's going to be the same situation. They're going to continue to demonetize his channel until either he is found not guilty or people see him in a different light. But I'm fully glad YouTube demonetized his entire channel. I think it was the right move.
So moving forward a little bit in the timeline, most recently, May 10th. So I guess, let's see, his last piece on the internet was April 16th when he posted that accountability statement. Then about a month later, on May 10th, was when his first resurface came, in a sense. I believe it was a video. So this was another allegation. However, it wasn't a sexual allegation against him. It was an allegation of wrongful termination of one of his employees. And I didn't look too much into it because that's not what this podcast is about particularly, but that's what he came to surface on the internet for, to make a video defending himself once again, that it was not wrongful termination. There was other things that went into it. But the true return of his normal content began May 23rd, his birthday, when he posted an Instagram post about his birthday, thanking his fans for the birthday wishes and the love. There was criticism for the need of that post because theoretically, he did not need to post about his birthday amidst all of this.
Yeah.
YouTuber Adam McIntyre claimed that he was wishing himself his own birthday by posting about it. And as of my research of this topic regarding the subject, that post had 2 million likes and 35,000 comments, a majority of them positive.
Really?
Yeah. Bizarre, isn't it?
I wouldn't say that.
But maybe you can filter out comments too. So maybe he filtered out comments that were like, that's a guess though. It's not known for fact, but
Yeah, I will say about that. I have noticed that even with accusations like that, there's like some people have a fan base who will like positively reinforce no matter what happens. Like I saw a lot of that with Mini Lad. People like, "Oh, it's okay, we'll forgive you," and it's just like it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
well, I think that definitely happened with David Dobrik too. David Dobrik had some pretty nasty accusations, and people fought for him till the death. They were like, he didn't do that. It was crazy. So it's interesting, I think, that kind of relationship that people can have with someone that they've never even met before.
Exactly, and that's the thing. They haven't met them.
And
they
they'll
just know
defend them. They'll like be
exactly,
their
yeah.
person, and then when the YouTuber or whoever it is sits down and apologizes, the other people are like, "Oh, okay, we forgive you."
Well, what it is, this is a Star Wars reference for most of you who probably won't know, but the truth is often what we make of it. So if people hear what they want to hear, they believe what they want to believe, and then they will side with what they believe is right. So
That's pretty good. Very applicable to these situations, but I guess we're getting ready to close out. Are there any final comments on like cancel culture as a whole? Do you guys think that that's an okay thing to do, to cancel people? Is there such thing as a true cancellation?
I feel like it's been happening forever. And
Yeah.
It's just taking on different names. Like, now it's canceling. Before it was whatever else it was.
Yeah.
For the previous generation. I can't think of the word right now, but yeah, it's been around. So this is like our generation's way of just,
I am an advocate for cancel culture. I think as a public figure, you are under scrutiny all the time.
Exactly.
And I don't feel bad about that because you are choosing to be a public figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you kind of have that responsibility to the public to be wary of your actions.
however, there are certain things that I would like to point out based on the truth is what we make of it. And if someone is doing the right thing, and they have been for years, and then all of a sudden they get shamed or they get canceled because of a minor detail or something very small and minute and doesn't affect the big picture, that's where I have the problem with cancel culture. Because to me, it's like they want to cancel everything, and you just can't. There's certain things I think, like the whole cancel Eminem fiasco that happened a few months ago. It's like you're just now listening to this song. Have you heard the rest? Like,
Yeah.
and then millennials, they believe they're like, this is normal for us. Like, what is like? No, you're trying to cancel a guy who did a rap song or a diss track about his own mother, and forced a man to change genre or his genre of music. Yeah, good luck with that. So.
hot take. No amount of fame should protect someone from their actions.
Exactly.
Well, another thing I think is interesting though about cancel culture is people definitely like dig for reasons to cancel people. They'll find tweets. So if you go back to 2014, there are some things that deserve to always be under scrutiny, but there are some things where it's like humor was kind of different back then. So hard to say.
Yeah. I think that if you're going to choose to become in the spotlight like that,
Yeah.
I think you have to consider your past And if you have some iffy things that you did that maybe not many people know about because,
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't that popular, maybe fame is not quite for you
Well-
because you know that it's going to resurface, that someone's going to find it.
The hard part now is we're reaching this point in the timeline where people our age have been on the internet since they were like 14, and you say all sorts of nonsense when you're 14, and people dig it up,
Yeah.
and they're like, it's crazy.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah.
there is some reason to forgive at that kind of age.
Yeah, and also another thing, my biggest problem with cancel culture is like whenever people cancel something just because they disagree with someone.
Mhm.
That's true.
I think that's a bit ridiculous. Just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you completely
Right.
silence them for
Yeah.
whatever they're doing.
The internet is not for you specifically.
Yeah. Well, I will disclose my personal opinion in the James Charles situation. I think he deserves to be canceled. Whether it's all fake or not, I think he needs to move on. Just be wary of his own actions.
Mhm.
Yeah. Any last closing comments?
I agree. Cancel.
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 Take a vote.
We'll let you know if he resurfaces. in
we
the
govern
future
whether he does or
episode.
doesn't.
See, for me, I'm very optimistic, or whatever the word is. I like to look at both sides with a clear mind and like obstructive point of view. So I will wait and see what the court decides before I judge him entirely. But I mean, right now I agree with everyone else. It's leaning towards cancel, but
Okay.
not by much. So
Cancel. I love cancel culture, I have to admit. Silas, are you against James Charles, or are you on Austin's side about waiting it out?
I feel like I'm on Austin's side. Like,
Okay,
just,
I'm okay with that.
facts. I just care about the facts. If he
Yeah.
actually did it, then yeah, he needs to be gone. But if it's just somebody making stuff up, then there's no reason for him to leave.
All right, well, we're closing in on time. Let's go ahead and wrap up for today, but you can stay tuned for Austin and Silas's show right after this, starting at 3 on air on the 88.1, not on our YouTube. Sorry, LOL, guys. But thank you so much for joining this pod, damn it, today. I think we had really great discussion. I thought
Yeah.
it was a good podcast, so I'm excited about that. Join us.
Colors next week?
Yeah, join us on
Wow.
Monday from 1 to 2. We'll be talking about some color theory. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today. I'm Carrie Jacobs.
Nick?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Austin.
I'm Silas.
So check out our social media, The Raider 88.1, and keep it locked to the left, you guys.